I stood outside the conference room, my hands trembling slightly. "Today's the day," I muttered under my breath, adjusting my tie for the third time. I had spent weeks on this presentation, hours bleeding into nights, perfecting every chart, every word. This was supposed to be my moment. "Alina," I said softly as she passed by, smiling. "Are you coming in?" She glanced at me, her lips curling just enough to make me think she cared. "Of course, I wouldn't miss it," she said, but there was something off in her eyes. A flicker of doubt. Or was it something worse? I brushed it away, focusing on the board members waiting inside. Marcus leaned against the doorframe, smirking. "Big day, huh? Hope you're ready to impress?" His tone was teasing, but I didn't notice the edge of malice behind it. I forced a polite smile. "Always." As I entered, the room went silent. I greeted the board, and then with confidence I barely felt, I began. "Thank you all for joining. Today, I want to present a strategy that will redefine our growth for the next 5 years." I clicked the first slide at first. My voice was steady, my points clear. But then I noticed Alina whispering something to Marcus. He chuckled softly like he'd just told a private joke. I shook my head, telling myself to focus. And as you can see, by leveraging our current assets, we can achieve a 40% increase in revenue, I explained. Looking around for nods of approval, Marcus interrupted before anyone could respond. "Actually, I think you're missing a key point. Let me explain." He stepped forward, his voice smooth, confident, polished. "If we consider market trends, there's a better approach that would yield faster results." I blinked. I covered that in the third section. The projections are fine." Marcus cut me off, his grin widening. "But let's be honest. I think this plan could fail if executed exactly as you've laid it out. We need flexibility, and frankly, my approach has been proven." He turned slightly toward the board, giving them his most charming smile. "You know me, I've handled projects like this before." Whispers filled the room. I could feel the board's attention shifting. My throat tightened. I looked at Alina for reassurance, but she was standing beside Marcus, smiling faintly, nodding like she agreed with every word he said. My stomach dropped. "Alina," I tried, my voice barely above a whisper.
Why?
She tilted her head, almost mockingly. "I'm just supporting what's best for the company," she said sweetly, but her eyes didn't meet mine. They were fixed on Marcus, admiring him. My chest felt like it had been punched. One of my colleagues, David, laughed awkwardly. "Well, Marcus does have a point." Another nodded, adding, "Yeah, maybe your method was a bit risky." I wanted to shout, to explain, to defend myself, but every word caught in my throat. The betrayal wasn't just professional. It cut deeper. Alina, the person I trusted more than anyone, standing there with him, like I was nothing. Marcus leaned in slightly, lowering his voice. "Relax. It's just business. You'll understand soon enough." His smugness was unbearable, and I hated myself for letting him see how shaken I was. "Excuse me?" said finally, my voice trembling but loud enough to draw attention. "I worked on this project for months. I prepared every detail. You're emotional," Marcus said, his grin widening. "That's fine, but emotion doesn't lead to results. The board needs facts." I froze as the board nodded. "Facts? My facts? My hours? My ideas?" Everything was being handed over to him, polished and praised, while I humiliated. Betrayed was erased from the conversation. Alina shifted closer to Marcus, her hand brushing his arm lightly. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to walk out, scream, anything. I forced myself to stay, finishing the presentation as best as I could. But it was over before it began. When the board clapped, it wasn't for me. It was for Marcus. And I realized painfully that my place here was gone. After the meeting, I lingered, pretending to adjust my notes while Marcus and Alina shared a quiet laugh near the exit. One of my old friends, someone I trusted, patted my shoulder. "Better luck next time, man. Better luck." I wanted to hit him. I stepped outside into the empty hallway, my hands shaking. My heart was heavy with disbelief, heartbreak, and humiliation. I sank to the floor for a moment, staring at the ceiling, They think they've won, I whispered to no one. But this isn't over. Not by a long shot. I rose slowly, straightening my shoulders. Every humiliation, every betrayal would fuel me. I wouldn't just recover, I would rise higher than they could imagine. And with that, I walked out of the office, leaving behind the place that had witnessed my fall. But carrying with me the promise of my inevitable revenge. I didn't expect the world to be this cold. I thought friends would reach out, even just to ask if I was okay. But no one did. I walked past the cafe we used to go to. David, Simon, and the others waved at me like I didn't exist. I muttered to myself, so that's it, gone. Packing my things in our apartment was harder than I imagined. Alina had already taken what she wanted, leaving the place feeling empty and foreign. I picked up a picture of us from the wall. How could you? I whispered, my voice cracking. A knock on the door startled me. Hey, are you okay? I froze. It was Mr. Hawkins. He had taught me everything I knew about business years ago before the corporate world had chewed me up. Mr. Hawkins, I muttered, letting him in. I heard about the board meeting. He said softly, looking around at the boxes. You've been through a storm, but storms clear the air, don't they? I laughed bitterly. Clear the air? They destroyed everything I worked for. Marcus and Alina, my hands shook. They just walked in and took it all. He nodded, as if he had expected nothing less. People will betray. Sometimes friends, sometimes those closest to us. But betrayal isn't the end, it's the beginning. I sank into the couch. I don't know how to begin. Everyone I trusted gone. Even Alina. How did I miss all the signs? He leaned forward. You weren't careless. You were focused. Ambition sometimes blinds us. But now you can use that focus differently. Not to rebuild what was lost, but to surpass it. I shook my head. I feel broken, Mr. Hawkins. I can't even look at them without hating myself for letting this happen. Good, he said quietly. Hate is a tool. It sharpens you if you let it. But anger without direction just destroys you. I don't even know where to start, I admitted. I feel forgotten, invisible. You're not forgotten, he said, placing a hand on my shoulder. And you're not invisible. You just need to plan a way to rebuild, smarter than before. I looked at him desperate. A plan you really think I can come back from this? I've seen worse, he said, smiling faintly. You're stronger than you think. Marcus and Alina, they've underestimated you, and that's your advantage. I clenched my fists. I can't just sit here. I need to do something, he nodded. Exactly. Start small. Reconnect with the parts of yourself they didn't break. Skills, knowledge, relationships that matter. Don't rush it. And never trust blindly again. I ran my hands through my hair. It's hard, I feel so alone. You're not, he said calmly. I'm here. And there's someone else you'll meet soon. Someone who believes in you. But first, you need to focus on yourself. Survival first, revenge later if. That's your choice. I swallowed hard. I don't even know if I want revenge. Part of me wants to prove them wrong. But another part wants to forget it all. It's natural, he said. The right path will make itself clear. For now, focus on building strength. Your mind, your skills, your network. The world respects results. They can laugh now, but results are undeniable. I looked at him and felt something I hadn't in weeks. Hope. A small flame flickered inside, fragile but real. Okay, I'll try. I'll start over. Not for them, but for me, he smiled. That's the spirit. Remember, the strongest people are forged through fire. You've been tested. Now, it's time to rise. As he left, I closed the door behind him and sank onto the floor. My apartment looked smaller, emptier, but I forced myself to breathe. Boxes surrounded me, reminders of what I had lost, but also blank canvases for what I could build. I opened my laptop and stared at the screen. Every email from former colleagues and friends went unanswered. They didn't deserve my time, not now. I would focus on what I could control. Every lesson I had learned from Mr. Hawkins replayed in my mind: strategy, patience, and the quiet strength that comes from being underestimated. Later that night, I walked past a cafe and saw Alina and Marcus laughing together. I felt the old pain rise, but this time it was different. I didn't collapse. I didn't beg. Instead, I whispered to myself, they think they've won. But they haven't even seen me yet. The city lights reflected off the wet pavement, and I imagined a future where I was no longer broken, where I had control, where betrayal wouldn't define me, would empower me. I didn't have a plan yet. I only had determination. And determination, I realized, could take me further than trust ever had. I stared at my reflection in the mirror and barely recognized the man staring back. No more excuses, I muttered, tightening my shirt. I wasn't going to let Marcus and Elena define me any longer. I had fallen, yes, but falling didn't mean staying down. I started small. Mornings at the gym, evenings buried in research, and late nights drafting business ideas no one would ever dismiss. I can do this, I whispered during my runs. Step by step, mile by mile. One afternoon, I was in a co-working space buried in notes when someone cleared her throat. You look familiar? Are you Ethan? I looked up. A young woman, maybe my age, smiled warmly. Yes, I said cautiously. That's me. I'm Lily, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. I've read your work before. I think you're brilliant. Honestly, it's a shame what happened with your last company. I blinked. You read my work? She nodded, her eyes kind. I've followed your projects. You've got vision, but people sometimes fail to see it. I laughed dryly. Fail to see it. They replaced me with Marcus. He smiled, and suddenly, my work was worthless. She tilted her head, curious. And how did that make you feel? Humiliated, I admitted. Angry, heartbroken, and still determined. Good, she said firmly. Anger can fuel you if you use it right. Don't let it consume you, though. I raised an eyebrow. And how do you suggest I use it? By proving them wrong, she said simply. Quietly, strategically, you have the skills. You just need a plan and allies who actually care. I studied her face. She wasn't patronizing. She wasn't looking down at me. She believed in me, and for the first time in weeks, I felt a spark of trust. Allies like you. She shrugged, smiling faintly. Maybe, but mostly, yourself. You've got to rebuild from the inside out. That's how you come back stronger than ever. I nodded, feeling a strange warmth. Okay, I'll try. I need to. Marcus, Alina, they think I'm finished, but I'm not. Her smile widened. Exactly. And if you want, I can help. I know a few contacts, some investors, a few projects that could use someone with your talent. I leaned back in my chair, excitement stirring beneath the exhaustion. You're serious? Completely, she said. But you have to promise to stay focused. No distractions. No emotional mistakes, I smirked. I'm learning, Lily. Slowly, but I'm learning. Over the next weeks, I followed her advice. Every day was structured. Networking events, late-night calls with potential partners, endless strategy sessions. Every success, every small victory reminded me that I could still rise. One evening, I received a message. Marcus just lost a major client because of a miscalculation. Looks like the board isn't happy. I felt a rush of satisfaction, tempered by patience. Not yet, I whispered. Patience, Ethan. Let them stumble on their own. You're building your empire quietly. Lily noticed my expression. What's going on in that mind of yours? I smiled faintly. Marcus made a mistake. Big one. But I'm not celebrating just yet. It's better to watch quietly. Karma works faster than revenge sometimes. She nodded. Good. That control, that's what will make the difference. You're learning fast. A week later, we were working late in a small office I'd rented for my side projects. You've changed, Lily said suddenly. Not just in work. You're calmer, but sharper. I can see the old fire, but now it's focused. I rubbed my eyes. I can't let them see me falter. They think I'm weak, but that's about to change. She laughed softly. Just don't let that obsession consume you. You still need balance. Even someone like you deserves it. Balance, I repeated, thinking of Alina and Marcus. I'll find it eventually. But right now, every step I take is for proving that I wasn't the failure they made me out to be. She leaned back, watching me with a mix of admiration and concern. I like that fire. Just remember, people notice confidence more than anger. You have to blend both carefully. I nodded, thinking about the nights I had spent alone, obsessing over my humiliation. I realized that anger alone wouldn't rebuild me. Strategy, patience, and allies. Lily was right. I needed them all. Later that week, I received an email from an old colleague. Marcus made another mistake today. He's losing credibility fast. I couldn't help but grin. Good. Keep going quietly, I whispered. Let him stumble. Let them both feel the consequences. But let me be ready. Lily peeked over my shoulder, smiling about Marcus again. Not smiling, I corrected. Calculating. This is the beginning, Lily, not the end. She nodded, her eyes serious. Just promise me something, don't lose yourself in this. You've got talent, ambition, and now control. Don't trade that for bitterness. I looked at her, really looked. I won't. I've learned my lesson. This fire, it's controlled now. I'm reborn, not broken. She smiled, a faint blush rising on her cheeks. Good, I'm glad to see that. Right. I returned the smile, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Hope, determination, trust, even a tiny spark of something more, something personal. I knew the path ahead wouldn't be easy. Marcus and Alina would continue making mistakes, but I was ready, patient, focused, and slowly the man they had mocked replaced. And underestimated was becoming someone they would never forget. I leaned back in my office chair, reviewing the reports I'd collected over the past 2 weeks. Marcus had been careless, overconfident, and I had every piece of evidence I needed. Patience, I muttered to myself. Patience wins wars, not anger. The phone buzzed. Lily's name flashed. I answered immediately. Ethan, you need to see this, she said, her voice steady but urgent. What is it? I asked, leaning forward. I got word from a source inside Marcus's team. He mismanaged the last client pitch. Huge errors. Board members are not happy. I felt my lips curl into a quiet smile. Perfect. Everything is lining up. Don't celebrate yet, she warned. It's delicate. One wrong move, and he'll recover. I know, I said. That's why I'm being subtle. This isn't about immediate revenge. It's about precision. The next morning, I scheduled a meeting with one of the board members I'd previously impressed during smaller projects. I've been reviewing our strategy, I began, smiling politely. I think we can enhance efficiency by reallocating resources here and here. The board member leaned in. Interesting. How confident are you? Very, I said. I've already run simulations. The numbers speak for themselves. He nodded, impressed. Go ahead. Let's try it. I left the meeting feeling a quiet satisfaction. Each small success was a step closer to regaining my standing. Meanwhile, I kept tabs on Marcus. Later that week, I ran into him in the hallway. He looked tense, slightly disheveled, which was new. Ethan, he said, forcing a smile. Working late, I see. Busy, focused, you. He chuckled nervously. Same, just trying to keep everything on track. I raised an eyebrow. Seems like some of your projects aren't going as planned. He stiffened. Minor hiccups. Nothing serious. I leaned slightly closer. Minor hiccups that the board noticed. You're underestimating how carefully people watch, Marcus. You know how dangerous that can be? His jaw tightened. You've changed, he said quietly. I didn't expect you to bounce back this quickly. I never expected to need your permission, I said softly, and walked away. The flicker of panic in his eyes told me everything I needed to know. Later, Alina appeared in my office unexpectedly. I heard you've been making waves, she said, trying to sound casual. I didn't look up immediately. I'm focusing on results, I replied, keeping my tone neutral. You're ambitious, she said, a hint of nervousness in her voice. I didn't expect this side of you. I'm not here to meet expectations, I said finally, looking her in the eye. I'm here to exceed them. Her lips pressed together, and for the first time, I saw the confidence she always wore crack slightly. Be careful, Ethan, she murmured. People notice who moves too fast. Sometimes it backfires. I smiled faintly. Sometimes it doesn't. The next few days were a blur of strategy sessions and subtle maneuvering. I suggested new project leads, recommended key hires, and ensured that every move Marcus made was contrasted by my own successes. Slowly, I started seeing the ripple effect. Small errors from Marcus, highlighted by my wins, began to catch the board's attention. One morning, I bumped into Lily in the hallway. You're playing a dangerous game, she whispered. I'm not playing, I said. I'm correcting the course that should have been mine from the start. She smiled knowingly. Just remember who you are, Ethan. Don't let the fire blind you. I won't, I promised. I've learned the hard way. Every move counts. Timing is everything. The tension reached a peak when Marcus called an emergency meeting. He was panicked, pacing as he presented. These projections, they're inaccurate. We need to revise them immediately, he stammered. I watched quietly from the side, letting him flounder. A board member cleared his throat. Marcus, we've seen similar errors recently. Ethan's alternative suggestions have been far more accurate. Ow! The room went silent. I could see Marcus's color drain. He looked around, searching for allies. But the shifting glances confirmed my advantage. Alina, sitting beside him, finally spoke. Marcus, maybe we should consider Ethan's proposal. It's clearly solid. I caught her gaze. A mixture of anxiety and realization flickered in her eyes. She had underestimated me, just like Marcus had. Marcus's hands shook slightly as he tried to regain composure. I don't think that's necessary. I stepped forward calmly. It's necessary. For accuracy. For results. And for the company? The board murmured in agreement. Marcus stuttered, "TH." My phone buzzed on the desk. Alina, my chest tightened. I stared at the screen, my fingers hovering over it. Why now? I answered. Hello? Ethan, I need to talk. Her voice trembled slightly. Can we meet? I leaned back in my chair, calm on the surface, but my mind racing. Why, Alina? After everything? Why now? I made mistakes, she said softly. I was wrong. Marcus, it wasn't what I thought. I want to apologize. I closed my eyes for a moment. You want to apologize? That's it? Or do you want something more? I just want to see you. To explain, please. I opened my eyes slowly. Meet me at the cafe on 5th. 30 minutes. Don't be late. She hesitated. Okay, 30 minutes. When I arrived, she was already there, hands clasped nervously. Ethan, sit, I said, my tone neutral. Say what you need to. Fast. She took a deep breath. I regret what I did. I thought Marcus was better, that I'd be happier with him. But I see now I hurt you. I leaned forward, studying her face. Do you? Or do you just regret being caught? Your confidence falters when you lose control. Alina, which is it? Her eyes flickered. I'm sorry, truly. I didn't realize. I shook my head slowly. You didn't realize? That's your answer. You never thought about me, about what I felt. Only yourself, only status, only Marcus. She bit her lip. Ethan, stop, I said firmly. I'm not here for excuses. I'm not here for forgiveness. I'm here to see the truth. And the truth is, you betrayed me. You made your choice. I made mine. Her hands trembled. I thought you thought wrong, I interrupted, my voice steady. You need to understand that. I'm not the same man you left behind. Her eyes widened slightly and I could see fear creeping in. Ethan, you've changed. I smirked faintly. Yes, I've changed. Stronger, smarter, patient, and for the first time, free from you. She flinched. I didn't mean for it to be like this. Intentions don't matter, I said quietly. Actions do. And your actions? They destroyed what we had. I won't forget that. She stayed silent, tears threatening. I realized she wanted a reaction, maybe to regain some control. But I stayed calm. Later that day, Marcus stormed into my office, slamming a folder on my desk. Ethan, this report. What is this? You're undermining me. I looked up, cool and composed. Undermining? Marcus, I'm presenting facts. Accuracy. The board appreciates clarity, something you've been neglecting. He took a step closer, voice rising. You think you can just outshine me? After everything, UI leaned back, meeting his glare steadily. After everything, Marcus, I've learned patience, strategy, precision. You underestimated me. That was your mistake, he scowled. I won't let you watch me, I interrupted sharply. I've already won in ways you don't even understand yet. Marcus's eyes narrowed, panic flickering briefly before he forced a smirk. This isn't over, he chuckled softly. It already is, Marcus. I'm just letting it unfold naturally. Every mistake you make, every misstep, it works in my favor. He turned abruptly, slamming the door behind him. I let out a slow breath. The tension in the office was thick, but I felt nothing but clarity. I was no longer reacting emotionally. I was observing, calculating. Later, Lily stopped by my office. I heard Marcus came by. Everything okay? Better than okay, I said. He's realizing the old me is gone. The naive, desperate Ethan, he's dead. The man he's facing now is deliberate, patient, and in control. She smiled faintly. You've grown, Ethan. I can see it. Even Alina noticed it, didn't she? I looked out the window briefly. Yes, she saw it. Fear in her eyes, and it felt good, in a way. Not because I want her back, but because justice is finally unfolding naturally. Lily nodded. You're learning what it means to be untouchable, not arrogant. Not reckless, but aware. That's powerful. I leaned back in my chair, reflecting. Power is patience. Patience, strategy, and control. That's how you reclaim everything. Not with rage, not with impulsive moves, but with precision. Later that evening, I walked past a cafe where Marcus and Alina were sitting. They noticed me, of course. Marcus' confident grin faltered, replaced by a shadow of doubt. Alina glanced down, avoiding my eyes. I whispered under my breath, a mantra of resolve. This is just the beginning. You'll see the man I've become, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Inside, I felt the fire simmering. Not blind anger, but controlled determination. My transformation was complete, no longer needed their love. Only the satisfaction of watching karma unfold. By the time I returned to my apartment, I felt lighter, stronger. Marcus' panic, Elena's anxiety, they were signs. Small, but significant. I was fully reborn. And from now on, nothing would catch me off guard. I sat by the window, looking at the city lights. I whispered quietly to myself, they underestimated me. They always do. But this time, I'm untouchable. I sat at my desk, reviewing the latest reports on the projects I had quietly maneuvered into my control. The numbers gleamed with success. My recommendations were outperforming Marcus's initiatives by an unprecedented margin. I leaned back, a faint smile forming. This is it, I whispered. The beginning of something they never saw coming. Lily entered quietly, holding a cup of coffee. You look different, she said, setting it down beside me. I feel different, I admitted. Everything is falling into place. Marcus's mistakes, Elena's uncertainty, they're all working in my favor. And finally, I can move beyond just reaction. I'm creating the game now, she leaned against the doorframe. It's impressive, but it's also risky. People notice power shifts. Some admire it, some resent it. I don't care about resentment, I said, eyes fixed on the charts. I care about results, about control. about making sure the people who betrayed me understand what they lost. Her eyes softened. You've grown so much, Ethan. I've seen you from the bottom to this strategic brilliance. But are you happy? Not just powerful, but content. I paused, thinking. Happiness is complicated. Right now, I feel satisfaction. Satisfaction that comes from knowing I've reclaimed my life and then some. I'm not chasing validation anymore. I'm defining it. Lily nodded, placing a hand on my shoulder. Good, and you don't have to do it alone. I'm here. Every step. I smiled genuinely. I know, Lily. You've been more than support. You've kept me grounded, reminded me why patience and strategy matter. We pored over the latest investment portfolios, aligning each with key projects. This one, I said, pointing to a tech startup, will yield more than Marcus's flagship client if handled properly. Lily raised an eyebrow. And you've got inside insight to manage it? I do, I said. I've been cultivating relationships quietly. By the time Marcus realizes what's happening, it will be too late. The board will see results, and he'll have no defense. She smiled knowingly. You've perfected subtlety, quiet power. It's almost beautiful. Days passed, and my influence grew. Marcus' attempts to sabotage me were futile. Every move I anticipated, every risk I countered. One afternoon, he stormed into the office, face red. Ethan, how did you get that client? That was supposed to be my project? I leaned back, calm. Supposed to be yours? You mean the project you mismanaged repeatedly? I recommended a better approach, the client responded. That's all. He slammed his hands on my desk. You can't just... I won't let you rise like this. Not after what you've done? I studied him carefully, noting every tremor, every sign of panic. I'm not rising because of what I've done. I'm rising because I learned from your mistakes. And you never prepared for consequences. He stared at me, and for the first time, his arrogance completely shattered. You've become someone I don't recognize. Good, I said softly. You should be afraid. Not of me personally, but of what happens when control falls into capable hands. Meanwhile, Alina tried to interject. Ethan, maybe we can talk? Maybe we can fix things. I didn't look at her. There's nothing to fix, Alina. You made your choices. Marcus made his. And now, they're paying the price, while I take the steps forward. Her face paled, lips pressed together. You've really changed. I didn't expect this. I didn't expect to need your understanding, I said. I only expected to be true to myself. Lily watched the exchange silently, her hand brushing mine briefly. That touch grounded me, reminding me that not all relationships were toxic or manipulative. Trust could exist, but it had to be earned. By the end of the week, Marcus's projects were failing publicly. Reports surfaced of client dissatisfaction, missed deadlines, and financial miscalculations. The board called an emergency meeting. I walked in, composed, calm, while Marcus practically vibrated with anxiety. You've outperformed me in every measurable way. He admitted quietly to the board. I don't understand how. I smiled faintly, offering nothing else. The board members glanced at me, impressed by results and clarity. Marcus's frustration was palpable. He had underestimated me completely. After the meeting, Alina approached me again. Ethan, please, I can explain. I shook my head. There's nothing to explain. Actions have consequences. You made your choices. Marcus made his. I don't need explanations. I need only truths. And the truth is, I've grown beyond both of you. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. You're unstoppable. I nodded slowly. I am, but I'm not reckless. I don't seek to destroy you. That's the difference. I rise above naturally, with patience, strategy, and precision. Karma is already unfolding. Later, Lily and I sat in my office, reviewing the next steps. Your influence is remarkable, Shess. I walked past the building where it all began, the office where my ideas were mocked, where Marcus smiled while taking credit, and where Alina betrayed me with a casual glance. The memories pressed in, but I didn't flinch. I had changed. I wasn't the broken man who once stormed out, humiliated and furious. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. The board had convened an emergency meeting, and whispers of fraud and mismanagement had spread. Marcus sat at the head of the table, pale and jittery, papers scattered before him. He looked around nervously. "Marcus," the senior board member said firmly, "we've discovered discrepancies in your reports, irregularities that can't be explained. Can you account for them?" There must be some mistake," Marcus stammered, his usual confidence completely gone. "I handled everything properly." "You mishandled it entirely," another voice cut in. "The clients are threatening to withdraw. Your errors have cost us credibility and finances." I observed silently from the back, a quiet satisfaction simmering, not triumph rooted in malice, but in justice. Marcus' arrogance and carelessness had led him here. Alina, seated beside him, tried to interject. "Marcus, maybe I can explain, I muttered under my breath. She froze when she realized I was watching her. Her confidence, the one she always wore like armor, had cracked. Every glance was tinged with anxiety, every subtle movement betraying fear. Marcus's face turned red, and he slammed a hand on the table. "This is unfair." "Unfair?" I said softly, stepping forward. "The only unfairness was the illusion you created, Marcus. You thought you could manipulate, cheat, and rise without consequences. Look at you now." He looked up, eyes wide, recognition dawning. You were behind this?" I shook my head slightly, a small smile forming. "I didn't need to be behind it. You created this outcome with your own arrogance. Every mistake, every corner cut, every lie, it built itself into your downfall." Alina looked at me, desperation flickering. "Ethan, please, I didn't please nothing," I said quietly. "You made your choices. Marcus made his. And now nature is serving the consequences. That is all." The board members continued their interrogation, and Marcus stuttered, floundering, unable to find a single explanation that held water. The humiliation was total. I felt no joy in mocking him, only a steady calm, sense of order finally restored. Afterward, as the board voted on his removal, Marcus's eyes flicked toward me, hatred mixed with disbelief. "You've changed. You're unstoppable," he whispered, voice trembling. "Yes," I replied, my voice calm. "I've changed. And this is the result of patience, strategy, and integrity. Not revenge. Not malice. Just natural consequences." Elena's social connections had started retracting as news of her association with Marcus spread. Invitations vanished, and whispers filled the corridors she once dominated. She approached me one last time, voice low. "Ethan, I didn't think it would end like this." I met her eyes directly. "Neither did you, Alina. But every choice has a consequence. I've learned that, and I won't forget it. Not for anger, not for pride, just clarity." She nodded, swallowing hard, finally silent. I left the meeting room, stepping into the hallway. Memories of the past rushed back, the laughter of colleagues, the mockery, the heartbreak, the humiliation. I paused outside the door where it all began, touching the frame lightly. I had walked out of here once broken. Now, I was walking out unshakable. Lily appeared beside me, a quiet presence. "Ethan, you did it. All of it." "I didn't do it," I said softly. "They did it to themselves. I simply stayed the course. Patient, observant, deliberate. That's all." She smiled, placing a hand on mine. "It's still impressive, and you stayed true to yourself. That's rare." I exhaled slowly. "It's more than rare. It's freedom. Freedom from their manipulation, from my own insecurities, from the need for approval. I finally understand what I'm capable of." We walked together down the hallway, the hum of the office around us. I felt a strange lightness. The fire of revenge had cooled into a steady warmth of satisfaction. I didn't need to destroy Marcus or humiliate Alina directly. Karma had done that for me. "Do you think you'll ever forgive them?" Lily asked quietly. "I don't need to forgive," I said. "Forgiveness is unnecessary when justice unfolds naturally." I only need to continue forward, stronger and wiser. She nodded thoughtfully. And what about your career? Your life now? I looked out the window at the city lights stretching endlessly. It's mine. Fully mine. I've rebuilt it on my terms. And I'll continue to grow, not for validation, not for revenge, but because I know my worth now. Elena's influence waned completely. Marcus's career collapsed publicly, his arrogance exposed for everyone to see. I watched silently, detached, in control of every emotion. This wasn't satisfaction born from cruelty, it was the calm clarity of seeing justice balanced naturally. Later, alone in the office where it all began, I sat at my old desk tracing the familiar contours. I walked out of here once broken, I whispered. Now I walk out unshakable, and I'll never allow anyone to take this from me again. I glanced at my reflection in the window. The man staring back was stronger, wiser, tempered by betrayal and heartbreak, but unbroken. Every misstep of Marcus, every manipulation of Elena had been a lesson, and I had learned it. A quiet smile touched my lips. Karma served itself, I said softly. I didn't need to act. I just needed to be patient, persistent, and true to myself. That was enough. I left the office, feeling the weight of the past lift, replaced by a steady sense of purpose. I had risen from humiliation, heartbreak, and betrayal to triumph, maturity, and self-worth. Every step had been deliberate, every pause intentional, every reflection meaningful. And as I walked out into the city night, I whispered one last time to myself, I am reborn. I am untouchable. And I will never forget the lessons this journey has taught me. The morning sun filtered through the office windows, painting the room in a golden light. I sipped my coffee, watching the city come alive. This was my life now, steady, controlled, and completely mine. The man I had been, broken, betrayed, and desperate, seemed almost like a shadow from another lifetime. Lily appeared at the doorway, smiling warmly. Morning, Ethan. You look content? I am, I replied, setting down my cup. Content and focused. Things are falling into place exactly as they should. She walked over, leaning against the edge of my desk. Your empire is thriving. You've rebuilt everything and more. Do you ever think about the past? I paused. Sometimes. Not with regret, not with anger, only with understanding. Betrayal, failure, they weren't punishments. They were lessons. And I've learned them well, she nodded. And what about Marcus and Elena? Do you ever feel tempted to intervene? I chuckled softly. No, I watched them face their own consequences. Marcus' arrogance destroyed him faster than I could have. Elena's manipulations couldn't stand against the reality she created herself. Justice unfolded naturally. That's more satisfying than any direct revenge. She smiled, eyes thoughtful. You've truly mastered patience, Ethan. Not just in business, but in life. I leaned back in my chair, feeling a quiet pride. Patience, observation, strategy, and emotional clarity. That's what makes all the difference. I don't act out of anger or desire. I act with purpose, and everything else follows. Our morning was spent reviewing new projects. I had learned to balance ambition with guidance, mentoring promising young professionals and offering them insight without imposing. This client, I said, pointing at a proposal, needs careful handling. Let them know they're valued, but don't be swayed by flattery. Results matter more than appearances. One of my protégés raised a hand. Ethan, how did you recover so completely after being betrayed? I smiled faintly. I didn't recover. I transformed. I learned that power isn't about vengeance or wealth alone. It's about emotional strength. Control over yourself, your reactions, and your choices. Everything else follows. Lily observed silently, pride and affection in her eyes. Later, during a break, she sat beside me. You've grown so much. I've watched you rise, not just in power, but in understanding. It's inspiring. I couldn't have done it without you, I admitted. You were the anchor, the voice reminding me that patience is strength, not weakness. That trust can exist, but it must be earned. That love isn't always easy, but it's worth protecting. She took my hand, and I felt the calm certainty of partnership. And now? Now, I said, looking out at the city lights below, we build. We continue forward, stronger, wiser, and unshakable. The past is a guide, not a chain. Later that day, I walked through the streets, reflecting. Marcus's downfall had been public and complete. He was struggling to rebuild his reputation, every misstep scrutinized. Elena's social influence had evaporated. She moved quietly, unnoticed, her manipulations ineffective. I felt no gleanly satisfaction that justice had taken its natural course. I passed the old office building, the one where I was humiliated months ago. I touched the doorframe lightly. I walked out of here once broken, I whispered. Now, I walk out stronger than ever. That evening, Lily and I met with a group of new entrepreneurs I had taken under my wing. Remember I said addressing them, success isn't just numbers on a balance sheet. It's resilience, patience, and emotional clarity. You can't control everyone, but you can control yourself. That's where true power lies. One young woman asked, "Did you ever want revenge?" I shook my head. Not in the way